Holy crap, I'm nervous as fuck. Just get that over with. Thank you. You know, it's really funny to start off with how Winston introduced me. I didn't even know I was going to talk about this because my beautiful husband, who's in the audience, has spoken a couple of times. And we were on a call with Winston to talk about possibly talking, and all of a sudden the words came out of my mouth. Code, that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about mental health. And I was like, you know when you have those moments and you're like, what the fuck just happened? I can't believe I just said that. That was my moment. And here I am now. And I'm just as curious as you as to what I'm going to say. I've been practicing this forever. And now, ta-da! Part of the reason mental illness is the conversation I wanted to share today is I'm not a person who talks a lot about myself. My work is, oddly enough, like the amazing woman who spoke before me, is about encouraging people to share their story and help them go deeper, help them heal through it, and help them see the possibilities of their life. So to be on the other side and having to share how I've gotten there is nerve-wracking, because it's a nice sort of bridge not to have to talk about oneself, but to really deeply listen is a great gift that I got given because of my journey with mental illness. So my journey started lifelong, like all of us. I think that at this time and age, we can all be pretty honest. We're all pretty fucked up in one way or another. Lovingly so. We're just doing the best we can, and we should really give ourselves a pat on the back that we're all sitting here together and holding space for a lot of people to talk about something that is really intense and scary to talk about. But there's one pivotal point in my life that truly sort of changed the trajectory. And it happened in June of 2015, late June. I received an email from my mother. And it said 2 lines. It said, please go pick up the car from Barnett Highway, and there'll be a letter inside telling you what's happened. My first reaction was like, oh, fuck, woman, what did you do now? And garnered with a bit of fear as well. But my first reaction was, Jesus Christ, now I have to clean up something else from you. I'm raised with a mother who has mental illness and had spent her life trying to battle with it and trying to heal from it and doing as much as she possibly could to sort of find solutions. And I, being the eldest, became uber responsible, as you kind of do when you live with a parent who is not. And the journey with her was immensely beautiful. Like, she was like the best freaking creature you'd ever met. She was tall and blonde and beautiful and stunning and would be the light of any party that would come in. I'm obviously the opposite of that. I'm tall, and I'm not as tall, and I'm brown, and that brings up all sorts of things. So my journey was to become as opposite of her as possible. And so I became uber responsible. I was the one who cleaned up and cooked dinner and made sure things were done correctly and tried to apologize as much as possible for my mother and the situations that would come around her. And when you're in those situations, you don't know how you're harming somebody who's trying to go through those mental illnesses and is just trying to hold on by a hope and a prayer. Because I'm a kid, I don't know, that's my mom. What do you do with that? You just kind of get up in the morning and do your thing. But that email, when it showed up, I hadn't spoken to my mom for about a year because we had finally had a falling out that seriously broke me. And I did not know the damage I had been going through from living with that. I did not understand the pain that I was carrying around and the shame. And So in this sort of violent call that we had to each other, I cut off all contact from her and started my deep journey of healing with a lot of compassion from a lot of really amazing friends and people and healers. So topic for another time is my dislike for the Western world's construct around things. So most of my healers are shaman and intuitives and psychics and all that good stuff, and that's the route I went. And it allowed me to really find a deeper compassion and also a deeper learning for myself. Just as I was starting to get to the point where I could think of bringing my mother back into my life, this email would show up. And so I gathered the help of my amazing husband, although not my husband at the time, and we took off to Barnett to go pick up the car. And it's interesting how when you look back or when you're in these moments, how crystal clear things come. We pulled up to the car. It was exactly where she left it, thank God, because sometimes I've had moments where it's not where she said she's left things. And found the keys and opened it up. And on the driver's side were her shoes. These were her favorite pair of shoes. Like, she was classic to the woman thing of shoes. It's where she would spend her money, was on her shoes. And these were her favorite pair of flip-flops. Don't ask me why flip-flops were her favorite thing. It's a journey we can go into another time, but they were these turquoise, beautiful flip-flops. And when I saw those, I knew that she'd finally lost her journey with mental illness. Me removing myself from her life was kind of the last block for her. I was the only thing that kind of held stability for her. I made sure that she ate, that she could find a place to live, and that, you know, she functioned. And when I removed myself, I removed that ability for her to function, and she just couldn't anymore. So we found out that she loaded her backpack with barbells and walked into the ocean and didn't come out again. And the hardest part about that, besides losing your mother, is the relief I felt knowing that she wasn't here anymore. And that sounds awful to say right now, because that's not something you ever want to experience, is the loss of a parent, and especially a loss that way, of knowing that because I removed myself from her life to try and heal and step into my own life, she took hers. And it sucks, I'm not gonna lie, I miss her a lot. But I now have my life. I get to wake up every morning with people I absolutely love. And I get to deeply help people go through this journey and understanding that we shouldn't be doing this alone. I mean, we live on a planet with some pretty fucking amazing people on it. And for some ridiculous reason, we think we need to be doing this alone. And we're not. I mean, you just look around. Look at these amazing faces we have right now in this room. And each one of us bravely standing up and sort of talking about something that is incredibly uncomfortable, such as mental illness. Something that I don't typically share because it's my journey. We can truly change each other by just being honest and saying, this sucks. I miss my mom. If we have kids, I'm never gonna have a grandma to hang out with. My brother and sister, she was not there for any of us getting married because she just couldn't hang on. And the amount of pain it takes for someone to be able to choose to walk into the ocean as opposed to try and walk into their life is pretty intense. And the amount of shame she carried because she couldn't get it together and hold it together in a world that keeps telling us, just suck it up and troop it on, come on, pull up your pig girl panties. And that's a story she heard a lot. I think we've all heard that when we're standing in work or something. I think the lovely gentleman that spoke before, you just get up and you do it. It's what you do. You get up and you work through it. And if you can't, then there's something intensely wrong with you. And I think we have to really look at that. We have to really relook at the construct that we've created a world that it's easier for someone to drown themselves than live in. That it's easier for a daughter to try and have to separate herself from her mother than to ask for help. We really can't continue that. It's not going to work for us anymore. And that's the real blessing that I've learned from the freedom of my mother removing herself from my life, is that we need each other. We need each other intensely. And we can't continue to pretend we don't. Because on the other side, when we cross and do our healing and we do our work and we share, there's so much beauty and so much to be learned. And it's pretty fucking amazing. It's really exciting to live my life now. However hard it is to share this story, it's profoundly healing to know that there's others out there who need to hear this. And there's others out there who need to heal. And we all can do it together. Thank you.